In this Mosaic training video, I'm going to go through the steps to side shape a standard base cabinet, set up some user parameters so all of our points can be adjusted on the fly, and how to save the actual product back to your main library. Now let's go ahead and get started. I've got another room set up called Bench Seat 2. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a standard base cabinet. I'm going to work in the frameless V12 library, and I'm just going to drop it on my plan. I'm going to set the width of this actual product, let's say 60 inches, and the height, I'm going to leave it 34 and a half. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. You can see I just got a standard base cabinet in the actual room. Let's go ahead and double click on this cabinet. And this brings up the product editor. Always move your product editor to one side, and then you can select your view product, your 2D, 3D viewer, and that way we can have this open on the same screen. If you have two screens, you can have one open on each individual screen. Now I'm in the size tab right now. I'm just going to uncheck the stretching on this cabinet. And you can always recheck it if you bring this product back in to a job. Let's go to the face tab. Let's clear everything out of the cabinet and the interior tab. I want to go ahead and start with the clean cabinet. I do want to remove the back on the cabinet. So if I go to my parameters and I go to the category backs, cabinet unfinished backs, the backs parameter I'm going to set to none. Now you can see my nailers are inset for the thickness of that back. To move the nailers to be flush with the ends, we'll go select product parameters again, back recess. I'm going to set this recess to the thickness of my nailers. That flushes it out, so we're good there. Next thing we want to do is remove this toe kick notch. So I'm going to go to toe and I'm going to override the height and recess to 0 for both of those. That removes the toe, and now the bottom of the cabinet would be sitting on the floor. Next thing you need to do is we need to write some user parameters. Now we are already in the parameters tab, and I'm going to add 7 user parameters to work with. All you have to do is select in the parameter column. The first one I'm going to call BTH. I'm going to give this a description of base toe height. And I'm going to add a value of 4. I'm going to write another user parameter, BTR. We're going to call this base toe recess. And we're going to set this to a value of 3. And then let's add 3 depths, base depth 1. And let's set this depth right here to 1 inch. Base depth 2. And we'll call this base depth 2. And let's set this one to 15. And base depth 3. And let's set this one to 18. And then let's add 2 heights. Base height 1. Base height 1. And I'm going to set this to, how about 18? And this one's going to be base height 2 right here. And I'm going to set this one to 21. Let's set it to 17 right now. We can adjust these. Let me go ahead and fix this, get the explanation point out of there. So there are all my user parameters. These will probably need to be adjusted as we kind of move forward with everything. Now that these are written, let's go to the Shape tab. You can see in the top right here, when I select the top, this is orange. This means that right now the top shaping is activated. You can see I can select the lines and it gives me my properties. If I go to the front view, you cannot select anything. It's grayed out, as well as the side view. We want to shape this particular cabinet from the side of the cabinet So I'm going to go to the side view and select Edit Side Shape. I'm going to go ahead and select Yes. That'll remove any shaping I have already set up in the cabinet, which I have none. Now we're going to add some new points to the front line and kind of initially shape this cabinet. I'm just going to grab this first point and drag it in, highlight the line, add an additional point, and I'm going to kind of just halfway shape this cabinet the way I want it to before we apply the formulas on here. Let's just bring this one down and you'll kind of get an idea about what I'm doing here in just a minute. And we'll bring this one and let's move this one back. Okay, so that's a general idea about what I want the shape of this actual side to be. Let's start with the first point. Now your X position is the horizontal and Y is vertical. Here's your X, here's your Y. In the X, I'm going to select the formula button, and we're going to call this BTR. That would be my base toe recess. You can see it's set to 3. It highlights in like a light green or a blue. Let's select the Y position. I'm going to set the Y at 0 because I want this point at the floor. I'm locking all of the formulas so there's no chance of these moving. Let's select the next point. My X position would be the BTR, which is your base toe recess again. That's 3. The Y position would be my base toe height, the BTH. These are all of those user parameters, right? Let's go to the next one. My X position on here, let's go ahead, base depth 1. That will bring this point in 1 inch, and then the Y, base toe height position, so it is now 90 degrees right here. Let's move up to the next point. My X position, I'm going to select the formula bar. I'm going to type in 0. If you type in your formula up here and you left click in the formula program area, it'll give you that dimension up there. And now that is locked at the X position. Now for the Y here, I'm going to select the formula bar. I'm going to call this BH1. That'll be for base height 1 right there. And there you go. The next node or point, let's go to the X position. And we're going to call this base depth 2. So that'll bring that point in for the X value to 15 inches, as you see. The Y, I'm going to select base height 2 on this particular point, and you can see my seat is kind of angling back. So these points are all locked. Let's go up to this top point. Now in the X position, I'm going to select BD3 for the base depth 3. That's my third depth user parameter. The height of this, I'm just going to type in H. That will give me the height of the actual product that I have set up in the actual room, 34.5. Now everything is locked to a formula except these 2 outer points. Let's start with this one. The X value on this would be D for your depth, or you could type in a capital D. And the Y value would be your H for your height of your cabinet. These are actually the D and H. If you go to your view parameters reserved, there's the H parameter, height of product, and there's my D parameter, depth of product. So both of these are reserved parameters. Let's select the last point. X value would be the depth, once again. And the Y value, I'm just going to type in 0. Now, every one of these points has a formula on it, so it'll be parametric. Let's select OK, and looky there. Look at my cabinet. It's starting to come together and look like a bench that we want. You can see my top is angling down right here. If I go to my parameters tab, that point right there was BH2. Watch this. If I change that to 18, it automatically adjusts there. Kind of like my depth right here. The BD1 was this point. If I change this to 0, it is now squared off. So you've got some control over how you want to set this up for your actual customer, where you can kind of look at these and adjust them as you need to. That way you can adjust them on the fly like that. Let's go ahead and let's go save the library right now. Let's save this before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Add new product, and let's just call this a bench. What this is going to do, this is going to add it to my frameless V12 library, because that's the library I initially pulled this out of. Now, with this initially saved to our library, let's select OK. I'm going to go ahead and delete this out. We still have some more work to do on it. But let's bring the actual bench in, and look at there. There's our actual bench. It's starting to take shape. Let's go ahead and double click on it, to product editor, select our viewer, and move this aside a little bit. Okay, now the name is changed to bench. And let's just change the description here to sit and bench. And let's go back to the shape tab now. What we're going to do is let's select the bottom. This side property is typed the bottom. This particular edge is called the front face. I'm going to change this edge to a finished end. I'm going to select the bottom of my toe notch here, and I'm going to set this to how about an unfinished end also. Let's go ahead and go to the left view wire and kind of look at these. Now, this end right here is the finished end. I'm going to change this to the front face. We need a front face here so we can add drawers if we want. Let's select the sitting area and make sure it's set to top. And let's change that to a full top. As you can see, this is now a full top on it. The next angled the backrest, let's change this to a face. That way we have a front face and a regular face. And the very top, let's consider this a top also, but let's change it to a full top. There we go. We're kind of getting together on what we need to do here. If you go to the face tab now, you can see I'm in the front face. You have front face and face 2. Let's start with the front face. Now, with this being angled right here, I cannot put drawers in there at an angle like that. So in this example, I'm just going to put a single door on there, as you can see. Let's hinge this to none to get rid of the hinges. And let's go to overrides. And that way we can select this door itself, highlight the panel, and let's go ahead and split it into 3 equal sections. Give it a little character because it's so wide. And there's the front of that actual cabinet. There's the front of my bench. If you need to adjust your reveals here, you need to select the front and select adjust and use your reveal adjustments from your face opening options in order to adjust those. Now let's go ahead and select the face 2, highlight the opening, and I'm going to set up a panel on here. And there's my actual cabinet. Look at there. If you want to bring the bottom up, just in case the floor is out of level, you can easily do that by selecting your scribe button and your bottom interior scribe. Let's select it to a -1, and it moves that bottom up that 1 inch for you. If you would like to have drawers on here, let's go back to the parameters. And let's go this base depth 1. Let's set this to 0. And then we can go back to the face. And let's go to the front face. Select it. And let's use our multi-split and split it into 3 drawers. Look what happens now. I have 3 pull-out drawers. There's my drawer boxes. If you go to the interior tab, highlight the interior, use your multi-split again. Let's do it in the partitions. And you need to select each individual partition and lock that to center so that partition is locked where it needs to be. And then your distance for your drawer guide is already selected. You have support, your partitions are automatically shaped. And now you can go back to Save to Library. And we're just going to update the current product and select Yes and select OK. Delete the product once again, and you can now bring that bench in. And if you need to size it, you can see how it's not sized here. These are all grayed out. Just double click, go to your size tab. And then once you size that product, everything automatically is parametric for the adjustment on it. And now you've got a bench seat for your customer.